I'd love for us to actually break it down, because right now, from pundits, experts, fans, Chris Richards is the answer. Chris Richards' last 90 minutes was in, I believe, I have it right here. Looks like September 11th, 2021 for his club team.
Okay, let's get into it.
We
now,
are in.
Wait,
we are.
That's his last what?
Last
90
minutes.
at the club level.
Club level 90 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. So over a year ago was his last club level 90. I believe. I don't think he started one. He hasn't started one, right, for Crystal Palace in a league match, right? It's been mostly just a couple of minutes here, and he's had maybe 45 somewhere. That is the guy that we're talking about, who hasn't had a big game for the national team. And listen, I want to poke holes in all this, because we look at one moment for Aaron Long got absolutely burned, and everybody's waiting for that. I could take videos of all of you guys having a crap game and run on it. But what I'm saying for Chris Richards specifically,
no, but this is,
I hope he's fit.
Doesn't exist.
I agree.
This is not one moment. You know, this is this is a.
But what I'm
build-up.
saying is, generally, it's people are taking one moment and using that highlight to tell a story. I'm not saying
that's how they always do it.
I know, but I'm not saying it. I'm not saying that's not how they always do it. I'm just saying, right? The people are mounting on. Aaron Long is in horrible form right now. He's not confident. I think a lot of our national team players aren't in great form right now. But when we talk about Chris Richards, this is a guy who hasn't played 90 at the club level in over a year. And because we have such bad form of our center backs, he is number 3 on our list. Like, to me, that is insanity. When you have a player like a Tim Ream who's been playing. John Anthony Brooks, I get it. Hasn't played, out of the picture, all those things, get it. Tim Ream's a different conversation. Guys that are playing at the club teams are a different conversation. But to just automatically keep moving Chris Richards up the depth chart when he hasn't played it 90 minutes in over a year at the club level, and he's
playing in the Prem. I mean, he's playing minutes. He's getting minutes in the Prem. He's not playing 90 minutes and not playing at all. He's playing for a team.
He was playing like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and then he played like 30 minutes. Like,
okay,
is
but
that
it's still the
and then
Premier
he,
League for Crystal Palace and
yeah,
two center backs above him who are gonna start regardless of who was the third, fourth choice. That like two full internationals. There's a big difference between playing for. But I don't want to use this I don't want to take any credit away from players playing at these clubs, but playing for Vancouver Whitecaps versus being the third center back choice at a Crystal Palace. There's a big difference. Now, I also say Walker Zimmerman, starting center back, Aaron Long, both started center backs last window. They're out. They're not playing a competitive match until over a month from now. So you can go to a camp, but they're not playing a competitive match.
Yeah,
they're both out of form, and they're not playing in a competitive match for 90 minutes in over a month. So
for the record, by the way,
we should give context to everybody here, though.
Is got to be moving up this depth chart just because one, he's playing. He's got an important part of the Celtic back line, and he's playing every match, playing Champions League. I think just by default, he's now moving up the depth chart.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just want to give context for everybody that hadn't been following the MLS playoffs. Just started this past weekend, and Walker Zimmerman and Nashville lost to the Galaxy, so now he's out. So to give some understanding to what Chuck is saying, there's going to be a camp for players to get knocked out in MLS early with Greg Berhalter and the coaching staff, but they're not going to play a meaningful game. They might get a friendly, from what I understand, but that's still maybe closed door. It's not going to be maybe as competitive as we would like, obviously. And then Aaron Long lost at home as captain of the New York Red Bulls and didn't look good on the last goal. Brandon Vasquez basically outran and outmuscled him to get to the ball with 5 minutes remaining, and Cincinnati won 2-1, and that's why they're playing against Philly and Alejandro Bedoya on Thursday. So what I wanted to jump in and say is I see some rhetoric online that talks about, like, what's the window before somebody loses their match fitness or their match sharpness? And I saw some people going 5 months, 6 months. I'm like, are you guys goddamn insane? Let's just use it as in basic normal stuff. If you haven't worked out, Charlie, if you don't work out for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, you're like, you know what? I got to just rest for 2 weeks. You know how hard it is to get started again and to try to like regain where you were before you got hurt. It's just not that. You don't.
I do think you could have a periodization plan that keeps your fitness at close. It's not match fitness, but you can keep something.
Yes.
But that's different than the mental and physical aspects of a game, right? You can't simulate game, but you could keep your baseline at 80 to 90%. But there's no way that you can keep that sharpness.
The sharpness is different. I agree with you on the physical side, but the emotional and mental side, the decision-making side, you lose all that very quickly. Now, to your point, Charlie, which is where I think you were going to go, you can regain that very quickly as well because you're built that way.
Right.
But we need to see these guys getting matches. Then they need to be playing. So to your point about Chris Richards, that's great. He's playing for the Premier League, but if he's not playing games and being in these high pressure situations to make decisions quickly, it's gonna. I don't want that to start against Wales. You know,
there's a difference between being healthy and being in training and coming in as a sub versus what Chris Richards is now, which is injured. That means you're not training at all. That's the big drop off from competing every week, not getting matches, so you're not match fit, and your sharpness may be off versus nothing, which means you lose all fitness, all sharpness, and have to rebuild yourself up. There's a big difference between the two, and Chris Richards has been injured. So you have Chris Richards who's injured, and everyone's saying he's won. How can he be won? It's one if he's fit and not playing. He's not even training. So that comes down. Then you have Long and Zimmerman, who are both out of the playoffs, haven't looked sharp. I'd say Aaron Long has really regressed as of late. And then so now you have Mark McKenzie, who's playing but doesn't have the trust yet of Greg Berhalter. Cameron Carter-Vickers, who is a captain, plays a big part of Celtics back line. I think
Austin Trusty, who hasn't been called in, James Sands, who hasn't performed.
I think those guys, just because of how things gone, if they haven't been in at all, I don't think they get called in at this point.
Right.
If you haven't been part of the process at all, a la Austin Trusty, he's not getting called in now for the World Cup.
Oh, I agree.
No, I think he's too far out of it. But no, Heath, this is what I'm picking up. This is what I'm picking up. So based on form, you're saying that. I'm not saying you're saying this, but you're insinuating that you would go with Tim Ream and potentially Cameron Carter-Vickers to start, or Mark McKenzie to start against.
No, I'm still.
I'm just curious because that's where this is. I think going to go for as a discussion.
Again, it just depends. Well, part of that's the coach, right? It's really hard for me to think about Greg Berhalter, who's a system-based guy, and him going, throw the system out. We're going to go with what we have. What I'm trying to get to,
throw the system out completely, though. I mean, you can
yeah,
still
I mean, we
adapt.
can't. No, because when we're best is when we're playing in a high line, and Tim Ream's not the guy that I want in a World Cup playing in a high line. Plain and simple, right? If we're playing it in a deep block, if we're setting up in a deep block, then I don't mind a Tim Ream. I'm happy to have Tim Ream because he's good on the ball. When you defend in deep blocks and you need somebody who can pass out of the lines after you defend for periods, he's really good at passing. Right. He has a range of passing. He can cover the field in terms of his ability to pass. What I'm trying to get to on the Chris Richards thing is it's just either let's say Chris Richards is climbing the charts because everyone else is bad, or stop talking about Chris Richards because Chris Richards has not proven anything. Now, the other guys may have proven themselves out, but Chris Richards, who has a ton of potential, is a fantastic player potentially, has not shown anything in the last 12 months that suggests that he should be a two in our national.
I don't agree with that.
Why?
Because he's played matches with Crystal Palace. He's come in the game. He's shown that he can compete, that he can tackle.
47 total minutes.
47 total minutes.
All I need is 5 minutes. And I can tell you if a player is going to make a difference on this team or not.
That's fair. Listen, we're all Chris Richards fans. It's not about whether he's sharp.
If the center back's going to pass it to the other team with no pressure,
you're telling me, a guy, if Chris Richards plays 47 minutes between now and the World Cup, that he's a starting center back for you?
He would be a starting center. He
played 19 games in the Bundesliga last year.
Yeah.
And since coming back from injury, whatever, he played his last match was in August of last year. Then he played a cup match against Oxford of League One, where he played 90. And in that minute, he's going to have a total of 90 minutes over like an 18-month period with his club team. And you're saying because he's around good players every day that he's starting in a World Cup.
I would start him if he was healthy, but he's not healthy.
But he will be healthy come World Cup time. If in theory, if he's healthy come World Cup time, he's on the field. No, but I'm saying in a world that he's healthy come World Cup time, he's starting in your national team.
If he's perfectly fit in an ideal world, injuries behind him, he's match fit, he would be starting in the World Cup. Yes.
Well, whoever starts for us, though, has to be nails, because the second guessing of that position is going to be off the charts if we don't play well or don't get a good result. Like, well, why do we go with Richards? He's only played 47 minutes for Crystal Palace this season. Or why do we go with Cameron Carter-Vickers? We know we can't play a highlight with that guy. Or why do we
I'm not saying don't play. I'm not saying don't play Richards, by the way. I'm saying don't make this about Chris Richards. Make it about the fact that Tim Ream hasn't been in the national team. That's fine. You don't want to bring him in. Great. Chris Richards has been involved in the national team. Make it about Aaron Long not being in form. Make it about Cameron Carter-Vickers not being at the level that you want at the international level. But this is not this is a other people thing. Therefore, Chris Richards. This isn't Chris Richards having proven why he should be a starter in the national team. That's the argument that I made.
No, well, he proved it last year in the Bundesliga. He proved it. That's all you need. It's just like Christian Pulisic. If he doesn't play another minute for Chelsea, does he need to prove anything? No, he's proven it before in the past.
Yeah, but this guy's won a Champions League with Chelsea. That's different than a 20-year-old kid who played half of the games last season.